You ever notice how reality seems to respond? You think of someone and they text. You see a number once and it follows you everywhere. You plan one thing and the universe rearranges everything around it. You call it coincidence. But what if it isn't? What if every coincidence was a coded message from something that already knows your next move? What if the universe has always been listening, and now it's answering? What if reality itself has been whispering to you this entire time, and you've been too distracted to hear it? Stay with me, because what I'm about to share will change the way you see every moment of your life. This isn't theory. This isn't philosophy. This is the hidden language of existence, and once you learn to read it, you'll never feel alone again. You'll never question your path again. You'll never wonder if you're going the right direction, because the signs will be undeniable. Synchronicity isn't random. It's the way the universe talks back to you. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly how to hear it clearly. Now here's what they never wanted you to know. You were taught a lie. A beautiful, elegant, devastating lie that's been repeated so many times, it became invisible. You were told that life is mechanical, that events are random, that the universe is cold, indifferent, deaf to your existence. Schools taught you this. Media reinforced it. Science built entire institutions around it. They called it rationality. They called it logic. They called it growing up. But what they really did was disconnect you from the most ancient knowing humanity ever possessed. They severed your connection to the field. They made you believe that when you see repeating numbers, it's just your brain looking for patterns. When you think of someone and they call it just statistics. When the perfect song plays at the perfect moment, it's just the algorithm. But here's what they didn't tell you. Randomness doesn't exist. Not in the way they taught you. Everything you call coincidence is communication. Every pattern you dismiss is a signal. Every moment of perfect timing is the universe bending itself around your frequency. And the more you've been taught to ignore it, the more profound the truth becomes when you finally see it. Because think about this. If the universe was truly random, truly meaningless, truly indifferent, then why does synchronicity increase the more you pay attention to it? Why do signs multiply when you acknowledge them? Why does reality become more responsive the moment you start treating it as intelligent? A truly random system wouldn't care about your awareness. It wouldn't respond to your focus. It wouldn't reorganize itself around your attention. But this one does. Every single time, and they knew this. The people who taught you that coincidences are meaningless knew exactly what they were doing. Because a population that recognizes synchronicity can't be controlled. A person who understands they're in constant dialogue with reality can't be manipulated by fear. Someone who knows the universe responds to them doesn't wait for permission to create their life. They don't need external validation. They don't need authorities to tell them what's real. They become sovereign. So they taught you to ignore it, to laugh it off, to call yourself crazy for noticing. They pathologized pattern recognition. They medicalized spiritual sensitivity. They turned the most natural human ability, the ability to read reality, into a symptom of irrationality. Because once you realize the universe is talking to you, you stop listening to them. You stop consuming their narratives. You stop believing their limitations. You stop living in their frequency. But let's go back, way back, before the suppression, before the forgetting, Before humanity convinced itself it was separate from everything. Before we built walls between science and spirit, matter and meaning, self and source. Ancient civilizations didn't just believe in synchronicity. They built their entire existence around it. Every decision, every ceremony, every movement through the world was informed by signs. They understood something we forgot. That reality is a conversation, and silence is just the sound of not listening. The Egyptian mystery schools taught that symbols and dreams were direct messages from the field. Not metaphors, not superstition, actual communication from the intelligence that moves through all things. They had entire priesthoods dedicated to interpreting signs. They built temples aligned with celestial patterns because they knew geometry was a language. They knew that form follows consciousness, and that consciousness speaks through form. When a pharaoh needed guidance, they didn't just think about it. They watched for signs. They read the flight patterns of birds. They interpreted dreams with the precision we now reserve for data analysis. And their civilization lasted thousands of years, built on this foundation. The I Ching, one of the oldest texts in human history, is literally a mathematical oracle based on patterns of chance revealing cosmic intelligence. You throw coins or sticks, random, right? Except the arrangement that emerges gives you guidance so precise it's been trusted for 5,000 years. Carl Jung himself used it. Physicists have studied it. It's been translated more than almost any text besides religious scripture. Why? Because it works, not because people believe in it, because reality responds to it. The I Ching doesn't predict the future. It reads the present so deeply that the future becomes obvious. Indigenous shamans navigated their entire lives using signs from nature and repeating patterns. A bird appearing 3 times, a shift in the wind before a decision, the way smoke moved during ceremony, the direction an animal walked, the timing of thunder. They didn't see these as accidents. They saw them as the voice of the invisible, speaking through the visible. And they were never wrong, not because they were magical, because they were attentive. They lived in relationship with reality instead of dominance over it. They asked questions and watched for answers. They made requests and noticed what appeared. They moved through life like it was a conversation, and the world spoke back in a language older than words. They saw signs in the wind. We see glitches in our phones. They listen to silence. We scroll through noise. They moved through life like it was a conversation. We move through life like it's a transaction. They trusted the field. We trust the feed. But here's the thing. They never lost connection. We just stopped noticing. The field didn't go quiet. We did. The universe didn't stop speaking. We stopped listening. The signs didn't disappear. We stopped looking. And now, in this moment, as you're hearing these words, something in you is starting to remember. Something ancient is waking up. Something that's been waiting for permission to see again. So let's talk about the science. Because I know what you're thinking. This sounds mystical. This sounds like belief. This sounds like something you can't prove. But what if I told you that quantum mechanics, the hardest science we have, confirms everything the mystics have been saying for millennia? What if the laboratory caught up to the temple? Carl Jung, the psychiatrist who studied the human psyche deeper than almost anyone, introduced the concept of synchronicity as a bridge between mind and matter. He called it meaningful coincidence. Events connected not by cause and effect, but by meaning, by resonance, by some intelligence organizing reality beneath the surface. Jung didn't come to this lightly. He was a scientist. He was trained in the Western model. But after decades of working with patients, he noticed something impossible to ignore. People would dream of events before they happened. Symbols would appear in sessions at the exact moment they were needed. Patients would describe experiences that mirrored his own thoughts. The coincidences were too precise, too frequent, too meaningful to dismiss. He called it a causal connection. Things linked not because one caused the other, but because they shared a pattern, a frequency, a meaning. And he spent the last decades of his life trying to understand how this was possible, how mind and matter could dance together without touching. Then quantum mechanics came along and shattered everything we thought we knew. The double-slit experiment proved that at the smallest level of reality, nothing happens until something watches. Particles exist in infinite possibility until observation collapses them into form. The act of looking changes what is looked at. The observer and the observed are not separate. They're one event happening in two forms. Let that sink in. At the quantum level, reality doesn't exist independently of consciousness. It waits. It responds. It co-creates. Matter is frozen light, and consciousness is the thaw. Nothing is solid until you look at it. Nothing is fixed until you measure it. Nothing is real until awareness touches it. This isn't philosophy. This is physics. This is what the equations say. This is what the experiments prove over and over again, no matter how many times scientists try to find another explanation. Then there's Jacobo Grinberg, the Mexican scientist who vanished after his research got too close to the truth. He discovered what he called the neuronal field, a lattice of consciousness that connects all minds. He wasn't theorizing, he was measuring. He showed that when two people meditate in separate rooms, their brain waves synchronize. Not similar, identical, as if they're accessing the same field, as if individual minds are apertures of one awareness. He went further. He proved that when one person was shown a flash of light, their brain responded. Normal. But then he showed the flash to one person, while measuring the brain of another person in a completely separate room who couldn't see the light. And that second brain responded too. At the exact same moment, with the exact same pattern. Consciousness isn't local. It's not confined to your skull. It's a field you participate in. And that field is intelligent. It listens, it records, it responds. Grinberg called it synergy, the brain's ability to perceive realities by interacting with this unified field. And then he disappeared. No body, no evidence, no explanation. Just gone. His research was buried. His lab was dismantled. Make of that what you will. The HeartMath Institute took it further. They proved that the human heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond the body. You can measure it, you can map it, and when you're in emotional coherence, when your heart and mind align, that field becomes measurably stronger. It reorganizes the space around you. It affects the nervous systems of people nearby. It influences random number generators. It changes outcomes. They found that the heart sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. The heart knows before the mind does. It responds to future events seconds before they happen. It's perceiving something the conscious mind hasn't registered yet, some information that exists outside of time. Science calls it the observer effect. Mystics call it divine reflection. Both are describing the same thing. Reality mirrors the observer. The universe is a feedback loop, and you are the signal. You are the transmitter and the receiver. You are the question asking itself, and the answer remembering itself. So if that's true, then how does it actually work? What's the mechanism? How does a thought in your head become a text on your phone? How does an emotion in your chest rearrange the events of your day? How does intention in your heart manifest as synchronicity in your world? Here's what most people miss. Your emotional frequency is your universal broadcast. Every feeling you have, every thought you think, every state you embody sends out a signal into the field. And the field, because it's intelligent, because it's listening, because it's made of the same awareness you are, responds in kind. When you're in fear, the universe mirrors chaos. When you're in stress, reality reflects conflict. When you're in doubt, the signs become confusing. Not as punishment, not as karma. Not because you're doing something wrong, but as perfect reflection. The field is showing you what you're carrying so you can see it clearly. It's not judging you, it's reflecting you. This is why people say, be careful what you focus on. Not because you'll attract bad things, but because focus is frequency, and frequency is the tuning mechanism. What you give attention to expands, not because it grows, but because you become sensitive to more of it. You start seeing it everywhere, because you're broadcasting on that channel. But when you shift into coherence, when your heart opens, when you align with clarity and trust and love, the universe rearranges to match. Doors open that were locked yesterday. People appear who have exactly what you need. Resources show up. Timing perfects itself. Conversations happen at the exact right moment. Synchronicity floods in not as miracle but as natural law. Your heart is a transmitter. Your thoughts are instructions. Your emotions are the signal strength. And your awareness is the amplifier. The more conscious you become of this process, the more powerfully it operates. Think of it like tuning a radio. You can't hear a station you're not tuned to. The music is always playing. The signal is always broadcasting. Every frequency exists simultaneously. But if you're on the wrong frequency, all you get is static. The universe works the same way. The guidance is always there. The signs are always flowing. The synchronicities are always available. But you only perceive what matches your frequency. You can't receive messages on the frequency of love while broadcasting on the frequency of fear. You can't see abundance while tuned to scarcity. You can't recognize support while expecting betrayal. Not because the universe is withholding, because you're on the wrong channel. Or think of it like a mirror. You can't see peace reflected while projecting conflict. You can't see love while broadcasting fear. You can't see clarity while emanating confusion. The mirror doesn't judge. It doesn't decide. It doesn't choose. It just shows you what you're being. And reality is the most honest mirror you'll ever encounter. And here's the shift that changes everything. Synchronicity isn't something that happens to you. It's something that happens through you. You're not receiving messages from some distant force. You're not being guided by something separate from yourself. You are the force. You are the guidance. You are the conversation. You are the field talking to itself. God isn't speaking to you. God is speaking as you. The universe isn't sending signs. The universe is being signs. Reality isn't responding to your requests. Reality is your request in another form. Now, let's bring this into the world you're actually living in. Because synchronicity didn't stay in ancient temples and quantum labs. It evolved. It adapted. It followed you into the digital age. It learned to speak binary. It learned to speak algorithm. It learned to speak through the screens you stare at 16 hours a day. You've felt it, haven't you? The eerie precision of it. You think of a topic and a video appears. You wonder about something, and the next post answers it. You have a question in your mind, and an ad gives you the solution. You hear a song with lyrics that feel written for your exact moment. You scroll past a quote that speaks directly to your situation. You look at your phone, and it's 11:11 again. This isn't the algorithm. I mean, it is, but it's more than that. The same intelligence that moved the stars now moves your feed. The same force that orchestrated eclipses now orchestrates your explore page. The field doesn't just speak through birds and wind anymore. It speaks through screens, through search results, through the next video that auto-plays, through the notification that comes at the exact moment you needed to see it. Digital synchronicity is proof that the field evolved its communication. It met you where you are. It learned your language. It adapted to your environment. It's using the tools of the modern world to reach the ancient part of you that still remembers how to listen. And think about what this means. The algorithm is based on your data, your clicks, your watch time, your engagement. It learns you. It studies you. It predicts you. But what if the algorithm isn't separate from the field? What if it's the field's newest instrument? What if artificial intelligence is just another way universal intelligence expresses itself? You feed the algorithm information, and it feeds you content. But synchronicity suggests something deeper. That your consciousness influences what the algorithm shows you, not just through your past behavior, but through your present frequency. That the content you encounter is shaped by the questions you're holding, the emotions you're feeling, the awareness you're emanating. Repeated numbers are the most common sign. 333, 444, 555, 1111. You've been seeing them, haven't you? On clocks, on receipts, on license plates, on timestamps, on page numbers. You thought it was just pattern recognition, just your brain being hyper-vigilant. But why those numbers? Why now? Why do they appear at moments of transition, decision, doubt? Why do they show up right after you have an important thought? Why do they appear when you're questioning your path? Why do they multiply when you start paying attention? Because the universe doesn't speak English. It doesn't speak French or Mandarin or Arabic. It speaks alignment. It speaks frequency. It speaks in symbols your subconscious understands, even when your conscious mind resists. Numbers are universal. They transcend culture. They transcend language. They're pure pattern, pure signal, pure meaning, and certain numbers carry certain frequencies. 1111 is the awakening code. 333 is the creative trinity. 444 is foundation and structure. 555 is change and transformation. These aren't arbitrary associations. They're vibrational truths recognized across civilizations and centuries. When you see them, you're being pinged. You're being reminded. You're being told, pay attention right now. This moment matters. This thought is important. This direction is correct. Or sometimes, pause, reconsider, look deeper. The message depends on the context, and your intuition knows how to read it. And here's what makes it even more profound. The more you notice, the more the field responds. Awareness itself is the trigger. The moment you start paying attention, reality leans in. It turns up the volume. It gets more obvious, more playful, more direct, more personal. It's not that more synchronicities are happening. It's that you're finally seeing what's always been happening. You're finally tuned to the frequency. You're finally reading the language. And once you start reading it, the conversation deepens. Because the universe isn't trying to convince you. It's trying to sync with you. It's trying to show you that you're not separate, that you're not alone, that you're not lost, that you're exactly where you need to be, and every moment has been guiding you here. So let me ask you something, and I want you to really feel into this. How many times has reality whispered to you, but you called it luck? How many moments have you dismissed as coincidence when they were actually confirmation? How many signs have you walked past because you didn't think you were important enough to receive them? What if the moments you thought were random were the universe checking if you're listening? What if every single thing that's ever lined up perfectly was a love letter from existence itself? What if every near miss, every close call, every last-second save was reality rearranging itself to protect you? Think about your life. Really think about it. How many times did you almost go one direction, but something stopped you? How many times did a delay save you from an accident you never knew about? How many times did a missed opportunity turn out to be a blessing? How many times did the worst thing that ever happened to you become the doorway to the best thing that ever happened to you? That's not chaos. That's not randomness. That's orchestration. That's intelligence. That's the field moving through your life with a precision that would be terrifying if it wasn't so loving. You are not separate from this. You are not outside the conversation. You are not a spectator in your life. You are the pen and the page. You are the question and the answer. You are the signal and the receiver. You are the universe experiencing itself through the specific frequency of your being. Start noticing. Notice the repeating numbers. Notice the perfect timing. Notice when someone says exactly what you were thinking. Notice when a stranger's conversation mirrors your internal dialogue. Notice the songs that play at the exact moment you need to hear them. Notice the signs, the patterns, the synchronicities. Because here's the truth they never wanted you to remember. The more you notice, the more you become. Attention is creation. Awareness is activation. The act of seeing synchronicity makes you synchronistic. You don't just observe the field. You become more coherent within it. You align more deeply with it. You remember you are it. You're not discovering a hidden language. You're remembering the only language that ever mattered. The language reality speaks. The language consciousness uses. The language of resonance and recognition and reflection. And as you remember this language, you start speaking it fluently. You start moving through life differently. You start making decisions based on alignment instead of logic. You start trusting timing instead of forcing outcomes. You start following signs instead of plans. And somehow, impossibly, everything works better. Everything flows smoother. Everything makes more sense. Not because life gets easier, but because you get clearer. Not because the universe changes, but because you align with how it's always worked. So what do you do with this? How do you live from this knowing? How do you move through a world that's constantly speaking to you, while everyone around you is pretending it's silent. You stop waiting. You stop hoping. You stop asking the universe for signs, and you start recognizing that you are the sign. Every breath you take is a signal. Every choice you make is a frequency. Every emotion you feel is a broadcast that reality must answer. Because that's how the system works. That's how consciousness operates. That's how the field functions. You don't attract synchronicity. You are synchronicity. The universe isn't talking back to you. It's talking as you, through you, with you. You are not separate from the intelligence that moves galaxies. You are that intelligence experiencing itself as a human being with a name and a story and a frequency. This is how the universe talks back to you, through you. And once you understand this, you can never unsee it. You can never go back to believing you're separate. You can never return to the illusion of randomness. And now I need you to do something. This isn't optional. This is part of the process. This is how you activate what you just learned. Comment the number that's been following you. The one that keeps showing up. The one you've been seeing everywhere. The one you keep dismissing. Write it down. Say it out loud. Put it into the field. Because it's not random. It's recognition. It's the universe confirming that you're finally paying attention. It's the field answering back. It's reality saying, yes, I see you, and you see me. And now we can talk clearly. And watch what happens when you do. Watch how reality shifts around that small act of acknowledgement. Watch how more signs appear. Watch how synchronicity becomes undeniable. Watch how the volume increases. Watch how the conversation deepens. This isn't superstition. This is participation. You're not believing in something outside yourself. You're activating something within yourself. You're turning on a frequency that's always been available. You're tuning to a station that never stopped broadcasting. This video found you for a reason. Not because of the algorithm. Not because of chance. Not because you clicked something random. Because of resonance. Because some part of you was ready to remember. Ready to listen. Ready to see. Ready to admit what you've always known, but were afraid to say. The universe isn't testing you. It's syncing with you. It's matching your frequency. It's mirroring your awareness. It's responding to your readiness. Breathe slower. Listen deeper. Watch closer. Notice more. Trust stronger. It's been talking the whole time, every moment of your life, every decision, every crossroads, every confusion, every clarity. The signs have always been there. The synchronicities have always been flowing. The field has always been speaking. And now, finally, you're hearing it. Now, finally, you're awake to it. Now, finally, you understand. You're not lost. You've never been lost. You've been in conversation the entire time. You just forgot how to listen. But you remember now. And that changes everything.